Leon Edwards shocked the world once again in his last fight. He was able to defeat Kamaru Usman again, thereby defending his belt. Now everything is falling into place. Edwards is the true king of the welterweight division, and since he is the champion, there are a lot of options for super fights. And one of them is the fight with Исла Makhachev. Hello fighters, with you the World of MMA channel. In this video, I will give a prediction for one of the top fights between Leon Edwards and Исла Makhachev. But before you start this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like it so you don't miss the next episodes. Here we go. Leon Edwards wears the nickname Rocky for a reason. No one believed in him. The last person to be presented as a champion was him. But Edwards did the impossible. At first, he lost the fight, but in the last minute of the 5th round he knocked out Kamaru with a stiff high kick and became the rightful champion. But most of the fans don't recognize him as the champion and say that it was an accidental hit. The UFC booked a rematch in Leon's hometown of Great Britain, where in front of a crowd of thousands he destroyed Usman in every round, thus defending his welterweight belt. Now his hype is at an all-time high, as he just recently fought Nate, who he nearly lost to at the end of the 5th round, and already he is the champion with one title defense. Since defending his belt, Edwards has been bombarded with various challenges, and the loudest of them all have been Colby and Islam. But as you can tell by the title of the video, I'm going to take apart the fight specifically with Исла Makhachev. The Dagestani has a similar way to him. In the beginning also almost none of the top fighters wanted to fight. He was an unknown fighter, but Islam was able to fight in a similar style to Leon, and they are both champions now and have big names. So why not bring them together in the octagon to determine the best? Islam wanted to get the category for a long time, but there was one problem. Usman was the champion, he had a good relationship with him, and now the welterweight champion has changed. So why not try to write his name in the history and declare himself as another double champion? It's been getting harder and harder to get a second belt lately, and Makhachev could break that by getting the welterweight belt. So let's move on to the breakdown of skills. Who has the best punching, wrestling? Who's the best in MMA? I think every fan has similar questions, which we're going to break down right now. Well, the first one we're going to start with is Leon Edwards. Rocky has been surprising me a lot in this aspect of fighting lately. Then he loses the fight in the stand-up to a basic wrestler and doesn't try to do anything. Then he abruptly punches a measured high kick that knocks the hell out of a roller coaster. In his last fight, Edwards realized what Kamaru was doing wrong and started masterfully shooting him at range with his kicks. Especially I noticed Edwards punching low kicks. Considering how thin the Cameroonian's legs are, it's a great idea to work his opponent with picks. In his second fight against Usman, no such action was seen, and because of that, he could have had a similar fight. But when the game plan is intelligently put together, the fight followed a completely different scenario. Edwards in the stand-up is more dangerous than ever, because in addition to technique he has the power that he showed in the same fight with Kamaru. Now on to Islam, who is progressing in that direction every day. Nobody expected Makhachev to be able to compete with Charles in stand-up so easily, and he even managed to knock him down. And besides Oliveira, there are a lot of opponents who can prove that Islam is progressing in the stand-up. For example, the fight with Thiago Moises, where you could see his kicking skills. Also in his fight against Alex, Islam showed his true boxing skills, and I have to tell you, he was really good. No one has ever presented as much trouble as Islam before. Although there was also Max, but that's another story. All in all, Islam became much better in this aspect of fighting, and he still amazes us. What can you say about the favorite? I'd still rather believe in Edwards, who was competing with much more dangerous punchers and easily outboxed them, and Islam will do takedown at the first opportunity. Now let's move on to wrestling skills, and we'll start with the representative of Dagestan. This is where Islam is really dangerous. If Makhachev presses you against the cage, you've lost a round. 100%, it's not an easy task to get out of that clinch. Islam has shown throughout his career that for him it doesn't matter what level of fighter you are, he's going to transfer you and put you down, or he's going to destroy you with his ground and pound. Nobody can compete with Islam so far, and I think nobody will be able to do it in the near future. As Makhachev trains with such fighters, Islam's opponents were not even close to them, as I think the Nurmagomedovs and the athletes who train with them will never lose a wrestling to anyone. They are something like a new Gracie clan. Maybe that's a big statement, but that's what it looks like so far. Team Nurmagomedov isn't easy to beat. Now moving on to Leon's wrestling base, and he showed fierce progress on defense last fight. Considering how Usman and Leon's second fight went when the latter missed every other takedown, he did a much better job this time, but for one thing he didn't let himself get pinned to the cage, as he knows full well that Usman takedowns exclusively when your back is against of the net. Also, when he did find himself in a bad position, he wouldn't let the Nigerian completely around his waist. In doing so, Usman again failed to he couldn't get a firm grip on Edwards. Leon has grown a lot and I don't see the point in denying it, because it's all clearly shown. What can we say at the end of the day? The clear favorite I think will be Islam. Still, no matter how tough a defense Leon has, Islam will find a way to transfer. What can be said about Edwards' stamina? I can say with absolute certainty that he deserves respect. He has shown on more than one occasion that he can go all 5 rounds without difficulty, and it doesn't matter what the tempo is. He's ready to take any fight and fight till the end. Now to Islam, who in his last fight for the first time went all 25 minutes, and I can't claim that he showed the top version of himself, because at the end he was, let's be honest, a little bit tired and wasn't as fresh as he was at the I'm going to give that aspect to the more experienced Leon Edwards. As for the spirit, I will give preference to Islam, because Leon is not emotionally stable, and Makhachev is always in one mindset, to destroy. I think that in this fight Islam Makhachev will win by the decision of the judges. He will transfer and control the Leon from the very beginning, and until the end of the fight it is unlikely that Edwards will be able to resist Islam's wrestling.